Hi everyone. Today was a really long day. Great day in some ways, but terrible day in others. Terrible in other ways. Started off pretty terrible in that it was raining, and then my bike road said, "Oh right, I'm in the dark right now just because if I do it tomorrow morning, I'll forget half the details, and I want to do it now." Um, so yeah, it started raining, and my map said that elevation wise it was going to be flat, 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 huge peak, and then down, and then a couple of like one smaller peak, and then just flat. And so I was just waiting for that. I was expecting it to be flat, and then I follow the road, and it starts going up, and it's a tiresome kind of up, and so I'm like, that doesn't. I look at the thing, I'm on the wrong road, and I see, like, I look down towards the ocean or towards the sea, and there's my bike path, perfectly flat, just lovely there. So quite disappointed in myself. So I go, once I reach down, I immediately jump onto that bike path, and I'm quite tired by then. So at the first sight of a faucet, I stop, and oops, that's not working. There we go. And I take off my helmet. I just try to breathe a little bit, and then just get it back on, fill up my water, get it back on my bike. And it's, I want to say, like 10-15 minutes later, I'm like, it's getting cold, like on my head. That's weird. That hasn't happened before. And I realized I'm not wearing my helmet. So, so I'm like, no. So I go all the way back. And just as I get there, like, these people are looking at the helmet being like, oh, somebody forgot their helmet. And I grab it, and they're like, oh, you forgot your helmet. So I put my helmet on, keep going. So yeah, some people who are passing by must have been quite curious as to why I'm going back and forth on this one road. But no, it kept being really nice and a lot of like bike tunnels. Yeah, but then as soon as you get closer to Genoa, or Genova, Genoa, I think it's Genoa. You get, Genova is in Italian, Gen is in French, and I think it's Genoa in English. But yeah, as soon as you get closer to Genoa, it starts being mayhem, and like the cycle roads are not cycle roads, they're just roads. And it's just like there's trucks everywhere. It's a bit of mayhem. Like, it reminded me a little bit of Egypt in that people just did whatever they wanted. They parked wherever they wanted. At some point, yeah, there was like a design, like a bunch of parking spots, and there was a car that was just next to them, like on the road. But the people don't get mad. People just go with it, and like, okay, we'll go around it, which is great for cars. Well, it's not great for cars, but like for a bike, it's really kind of dangerous. So I kept like looking around, making sure everything was okay before passing. But yeah, that was getting into Genoa. It was quite difficult. The only part of Genoa that had a proper bike path, and I was like, hey, this is quite nice, was in front of the cruise ships. Like, in front of the cruise ships, there's 500 meters, perfect bike path. Like, just lovely, absolutely amazing. After that 500 meters, it just slowly degrades, and like, yeah, it was nonsense towards the end of it. So you might as well just use the road, just because it was so terrible and pedestrians were everywhere because they had nowhere to go. So yeah, Genoa itself was quite nice. Like, the old part of it was. Just went around, so there was like different circuits. I just did the medieval town circuit, and so it was really well. Like, it said that you needed an app. I tried to get the app, I couldn't get the app. So in the end, I just like took a picture of the map and just made my own tour, but I just didn't have any explanations. I think every time you would reach a little sign, you would like take a QR code for your app, and then it would like give you an explanation of what's going on at that place. But yeah, really well indicated, but not necessarily like a great city, I don't think. I think there are prettier cities. but also I was there when it was kind of rainy, kind of gray day, so that's, I guess it's not great for them. Then leaving Genoa, I had a really hard time just because it was just a lot of traffic, like a lot of trucks and a lot of bikes and everything. And towards the end of it, like I got the same feeling I would get when, sorry, when I'm around smokers for a long time. Like the back of my nose starts like feeling clogged up, which is not a great feeling. So I just had to get out of there. So I get out of there, and then comes the big hill, the one I was waiting for, and I tackle it as best as I can. And 200 meters in, I just stop. Like I am beat and sweating bullets and just terrible. So, and yeah, 200 meters, and I know there's like 500 meters left. So I just go slowly and just go on the lowest gear I can. Oh right, but then when I stopped the first time, I realized that the road was kind of wet, and I don't know why it made it really, really slick, like really slippery. So much so that like when I try to go back on, I was kind of scared that I would slip. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna walk my bike for a bit until it gets a little bit flatter and where I can like get traction and then start going, because otherwise it's just gonna hurt myself. But yeah, it was very strange. At some point I almost caused an accident just because, yeah, I was walking and then there was a car coming, but then the car going downhill was going a bit too fast, and it tried to stop, and because it was so slippery, it was like, yeah, not a great time. But no, everything was fine. And so yeah, I kept on going and taking breaks. I think I took about 4 or 5 breaks, and it was really strange at some point. So I took a break and I was like breathing, and I could see that like my breath was fogging up. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like it's getting that cold that it's fogging up because I'm in altitude. And then I don't know how I saw this, but like I felt like, oh, excuse me, something else was steaming up. I didn't get it. I looked around, I just didn't get it. And it turns out it was my own head. Like it was got so gross and steamy. I was just like making steam. It was pretty weird. Finally make it to the top. I'm happy. I take a picture, but it's not a great picture just because it's so gray. And yeah, start going down. And then it starts raining just because. So yeah, I had to be like extra careful when going down just because I don't want to slip. And then it just gets into wine country, and then the sun came out, and it was like lovely because it's all like vineyards. But then as soon as I got there, I looked for a campsite, and there are no campsite. Like I looked at a 10-kilometer radius, I think, and I just couldn't, maybe even more, I just couldn't find one. There's a lot of like high-end Airbnbs, and it's just no, because they're like in vineyards and everything, and I didn't feel like it. So I just figured I would find somebody in their garden and ask them if I could stay, or no, the plan was to find somebody like in their garden and then ask them if they knew where I could put my tent for the night, and hoping that either they knew somewhere, they could tell me like, oh, like in that field over there, I know the farmer, he's fine, he won't tell you anything. Or they could tell me like, hey, I have a garden, and yeah, just use like this 2 meter by 2 meter space, we won't mind. But nobody was in their garden, like absolutely nobody. It was really quite concerning. So I just kept going. I got all the way to my endpoint for the day. Didn't find anything. So I started, because the sun was coming down as well, so I was a bit worried because it started getting dark. And so I was like, okay, well, there's a little town, like, because it was not in a big city, but it was still in a city, so it's not a great place to find camping anyway. So I was like, okay, there's a little town next up, and I'm just gonna have to make a decision then. I'll find somebody, or I'll have to do something else. So I make it to the little town. It's getting a bit scary, so I have my light on my bike, and yeah, just checking that I turned it off. Then I see this one guy in a street. I'm like, you know what? I don't know where he lives, but I'm gonna ask him if he knows somewhere I could put my tent. And I ask him, and he looks at me. He's like, "Oh, well, you could put it in my yard." I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, that's really nice of you." And he's like, "Yeah, just put it in my yard." And so he comes here. He's like, "The only thing is, I need to leave at 7:30, so you're gonna need to leave at 7:30." I'm like, "Not a problem, not an issue. I'm really thankful that you're doing this for me. So anything, like, that's fine." So we get in, and he's like, "Okay, like, do you want to eat? I'm like, "Nope, I don't want to be a bother. I have all the food I need. All I need is just a place to put my tent, and I'll get out of your hair. Like, thank you so much." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're welcome." So he shows me. He's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna get the Wi-Fi password," and he shows me where to plug my things in for the night so that they charge. Really nice guy. His name is Marco. And then, yeah, it kind of struck me that he's a bit shorter. Well, a bit. He's a lot shorter than me. But I didn't pay any mind. And then he's like, "Okay, well, you eat and everything, and then I'll see you after supper, and we can have a chat." So that was kind of fun. So I ate my supper. I didn't want him to see because I made pasta with pesto sauce. I didn't want him to see it because I probably would insult Italians if they see how I do it. So decided against that. So I ate really fast so he didn't have to see it. And then he comes out and we talk for a bit. We talk in our weekends. We talk a lot about biking because he likes to bike as well, but he does short distances just really fast. Whereas I guess I like more long distance. Well, I say short distances. Like, apparently he still did like 100 kilometers in a day, but just without the saddlebags, without, like, it was more of a loop. But yeah, he just, we compared apps that we were using. The language barrier is definitely there. I was trying to use Spanish and then realized I'm missing a lot of Spanish vocabulary, and then I just replaced it with English and French. And then he knows a lot of Spanish actually, so it was kind of nice to, like, whenever there was a term that was difficult, he would put it in Spanish, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about." And yeah, he was like, "Do you want panettone?" And so I didn't understand if I heard him well. I was like, "That's the Christmas thing." So I was like, what? And he's like, "Yeah, it's like this sweet bread and everything." I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll have panettone." And he tells me that he has it since Christmas, and he just felt like opening it. I was like, "Okay, that's cool." He's like, "Yeah, my girlfriend thinks I'm a bit weird, but I'll eat it." I was like, "No, I like it." So I ate the panettone, and then he came with the limoncello, and so we had a bit of limoncello. And yeah, he works in a chocolate factory, but he's more on the accounting side, I think he said. Which it was bad because I was thinking of, like, how can I thank him? And I was thinking wine, but like, I don't know if he drinks wine, or I don't really know how to pick wine. So I was like, "Oh, I'll just get chocolate. Everybody likes chocolate." Like, and then he tells me he works in a chocolate factory, so that's not happening. Either I'll think of something, or what I'm thinking of, anybody who's helped me so far, I think I'm gonna get him a postcard from Istanbul, like, thanking them. So I'll get his address, and then yeah, send him a postcard from the endpoint thanking him. And all right, so then we keep on talking, and he's like, "Yeah, tomorrow I need to leave early because I need to, like, train with the horse, and then in the afternoon I go to Milan and I have the horse race." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a jockey." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah." And so he shows me a picture, and he's a jockey, so that made sense that he was a bit smaller. But yeah, so it's, and then I talked about Chantilly because that's known for horses, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know Chantilly." He's like, "I've never been, but, like, yeah, it's a horse thing." So that was kind of funny that he knew. Oh right, and then he saw my map for tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to Pavia. It's not going to be a very long day. But he's like, oh, do you know? And I can't remember. Like, um, co, 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 Cody, code, copy, something copy. And I'm like, who is that? I was like, I have no idea. He's like, oh, he's a really famous cyclist, the most famous Italian cyclist. He was around in like the 40s and 50s, but like, no, everybody knows him. And he's like, ask around. Like, I'm sure you'll find people who know him. And he was born not too far from here, like about 40 minutes on bike from here. And so he's like, you need to go. And it's really nice, Castellani. And he's like, no, you need to go. It's really nice. Like, there's a museum for him. So I'm gonna go tomorrow because tomorrow I have a lot of time. So I'll go tomorrow. Yeah, and then before leaving, he's like, "Do you want to do breakfast?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah." No, at the beginning I was like, "No, it's okay. I have my things." He's like, "I'm doing breakfast at 7." I kind of like, we could do breakfast together. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm gonna get a tea for breakfast tomorrow, and that's it. So I'm looking forward to sleeping tonight because I wasn't sure where I was gonna sleep. Um, but it should be good. It's just a little bit noisy, but I'm sure I'll get over it. I'm gonna fall asleep really quickly. I'm pretty tired, as you can guess from all the yawning. Excuse me. But yeah. So overall, like, it was a bad day, but like the end made it. The end made it nice. Uh, my legs are really tired. So yeah. Have a good night. Bye.